Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters Corner, the topical show where we discuss things of interest to Muslim women, all women, and actually anyone who's interested in humanity. And today I'm particularly blessed to have with me an amazing lady who's been working in the field of public speaking, but also in advancing women's rights and equalities through different guises, including as a lawyer and as an author. So, Assalamu alaikum, Abda.
Wa alaikum salam.
And thank you so much for taking the time out of what must be a really busy schedule to come and
Thank you so much for
us.
having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and such a pleasure to meet you as well.
Yeah, and you absolutely. I'm so excited about our time together because I know you're doing some amazing work. So we'll discuss, obviously, the fact that you're a lawyer, but also a published author, and a very successful one at that. But also you deal with quite tricky issues and thorny issues.
Yes, especially in my writing I do, So we can definitely discuss that. There's a lot to discuss there. Yeah.
Absolutely, and as we know, this month, Shafalia Ahmed was the month of memory. It was the 14th of July, wasn't it, for victims of honour crimes. There's no honour in violence, it is murder, and I just think a moment for us to remember all those victims whose lives are taken too early because somehow it's mixed up in some terrible notions of honour, and there's nothing honourable about those kind of crimes. You can't force people to be something they're not, and to be with people they're not, and it's our responsibility as humans, as family members, as mothers, as dads, as aunties to look after and care about our children's happiness more than we care about other people's opinions.
Absolutely.
I honestly think people do love them, but we all express our love in different ways, and we've got to have conversations with ourselves and our communities. So you're a lawyer. How did you get into all of that then?
Oh goodness, that's a long time ago now. So yeah, when I was in my teenage years, I decided I would like to go to university and study. So I grew up actually in Bradford, inner city Bradford. I was the seventh of 8 kids, born in 1969, so quite a long time ago now. My parents were just immigrant parents from Pakistan, illiterate. My dad worked in the wool mills. Mum was a housewife. She had a little allotment and all that kind of stuff. Weren't very well off, I won't sort of, say we were, because we weren't, we didn't have much, but happy times still, lived in a very multicultural, tight-knit community. But yeah, I had these ideas even from before my teenage years. I would like to be the first one in the family to go on to study and, maybe have a profession. And my mum really encouraged me a lot, actually. So I was the first girl in the family to go on to 6th form and then to go on to university. And I even remember when I was about 15, I remember the careers advisor asking me what I wanted to do, and I said, I'd like to go into law, I think. And she just looked at me and she said, well, girls like you don't do things like that, do they? Maybe you should think about something else, And I came out of that meeting and I'm thinking, that's so disheartening, Instead of encouraging me, she kind of tried to put me off basically and said, maybe, the cultural kind of perceptions that there were at the time. So anyway, it was a bit of a cultural battle at home as well, to get to that. First stage to be different, to go on to have those aspirations, to want to do something.
To get your parents to say yes, and then to have that from your teachers as well.
So and that was amazing to be able to do that. Unfortunately, my mum passed away when I was 18, just months before my exams, so she didn't get to see me get my exams or go to university, and that was difficult. It was a difficult time because, you lose your mum when you're 18. There's just no way to describe how that feels, A part of me just didn't want to carry on, but then a part of me thought, it's what she wanted as well. So that kind of spurred me on. Went on to do law, and then I've been in the legal industry for nearly 26 years now. And I've run my own law firm for about 21 of those years.
Right,
yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And are you still practicing?
I am. I'm still practicing, still run the practice down just outside Birmingham. We're a busy high street practice. We do lots of different types of work, a lot of immigration, a lot of property work. And I enjoy it, but through my career I've done lots of different types of work. But now I'm more kind of managerial, supervisory, regulatory, that side of things, really. Yeah.
Right, super. Well, that's just, I mean, such an inspiration, isn't it? Because in a way, I think a lot of people take it for granted now that they will go to university, and for most young women of South Asian backgrounds, it's easier to go to university now than it ever was. I am a bit younger than yourself, and I still remember having the challenge of having to have the discussion about wanting to go to university, and it was quite a big deal because at that time, in the area I lived in, Bradford, Asian girls weren't going to university, so it was quite a big ask, actually. Teachers were quite supportive, but
and that's nice that you know that times, and I think it's really important that you get that encouragement at school, you know, because sometimes a lot of youngsters might not have it at home, depending on their, you know, family setup, the background. You know, it's difficult when nobody in your family's ever been past minimum school leaving age, you know. So you know, you need that encouragement from somewhere. But with me, I got it from my mum, I think.
Fantastic. And how did your families? I know my mum had it, so lots of people used to say, "Oh, how come you've let your daughter go to university?" So all the sort of community conversations initially. How did your family cope with all of that?
It was quite funny. Well, initially when I said I wanted to carry on to the sixth form, my dad wanted me to do medicine. And I really didn't want to do medicine, so that was my first battle, like changing my A-levels, because I started with like all science A-levels and I was miserable. And I said, no, this is not for me, I really want to do law. And then like I said, my mum passed away, and then I actually went to study away from home as well. So I went over to study in Manchester. I lived in Bradford, well, Shipley by that time actually, but then I went to study in Manchester. So that was an added thing, you know, not only is she studying, not only is she carrying on with her studies, but she's also living away from home.
That's
you know,
huge.
It was a bit groundbreaking at the time. But yeah, I think you know, my diligence and my hard work is what people would see eventually anyway. So yeah,
fabulous. That's really good. So you've established your law business. When did you decide to get into your writing?
Oh yeah, writing came to me just a few years ago actually. It wasn't something, and I'm not one of these people who will say that I always wanted to write a book and I always wanted to be a novelist. No, not at all. I was busy, you know, having my family and running the law firm, and I didn't really have much time for anything else. Through a lot of that period of time, I was, you know, mashallah, I've got 5 kids, so you know, and you know, extended family, in-laws, all that kind of stuff. So I was very, very busy either at home doing that stuff, or I was busy at work. So I didn't really think about writing or anything like that. But a few years ago, I guess there was just a series of events that just made me sit up and think. You know, women I came across, one particular client who came in with various issues, and it got me thinking about honour-based violence, forced marriage, and some of the issues that I'd come across throughout my whole career, you know, right from the beginning. And in fact, going back to the communities I lived in, even in my own sort of family, relatives, community, and it got me thinking about all the different issues that our women have to cope with. You know, I've come across some really horrific things that have been done to women in the name of honour, and I think it was just one of those moments, and I just thought, how is this being reflected in out there, you know, in terms of media, but also in terms of fiction. I was just interested to see how are these women, how are their stories, how are these issues being tackled? Because I just got back into reading. You know how you're having kids and then you fall away from reading, and then you get back into it as soon as the little one is a little bit more self-sufficient. So I got back into my love of reading, and then when I went into my local bookstore to find a book that perhaps would cover any of these things, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that in contemporary British fiction that covered these issues. And I went online, I still didn't have any joy. And I thought, you know what, if nobody's writing about these issues, I'm going to write about them. And that's when my writing journey started.
Oh, fantastic. So, as Gandhi said, be the change
I guess.
want to see.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's true. I think there's no good saying, oh, that's terrible, nobody's doing that, and then just, you know, forgetting about it and just go and put the telly on and have a cup of tea. No, but you know, if it upsets you that nobody's doing that, then maybe you need to do something about it. And that's what I
And
thought.
I love that you can think that's you.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think the problem with the society and the community we grow up in sometimes that, you know, we're kind of made to believe that we can't do things. And I certainly found that a lot, that was one of the biggest hurdles, both internally within family and community, but externally with other people's perceptions of the community that you come from, and you're constantly told that you can't do things, but you can. Yeah, you can if you just got to want to do it enough.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had that experience because you get both sides. So you get within the community. So me growing up, a lot of the things that when my mum didn't tell me I couldn't do anything, but there was definitely an element of I want to keep you safe, and I want to protect you. So there was that element of it. And then there was a little bit of actually the uncertainty around the university, don't know what that is and what that does with you and how it will affect your moral character, etc.
Will you change?
You know, will you change? And my reassurance to her is, Mum, I've got through the really messy teenagey bits, you know. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, I've got through that bit. Now I really want to study, and I know that's where I'm going. I'm not interested in anything else. And that was all the reassurance she needed. So it wasn't a big battle or anything. It was just kind of going, actually, you know, I was able to express to her that I'm a mature person, that, you know, I was still only 18 or whatever, you know, but actually I had a sensible head on my shoulders, and that reassurance was all she needed. But then the other side of things I was getting is when I was at school, when I was younger and I'd expressed an interest in being a psychologist, a teacher, and I still remember his face, kind of screwed up his face and said, but will you, and that really, I was only 14.
Yes, it's what happened to me.
So that really had an impact on me, actually. So, you know, it did really knock my confidence, because there's me going, oh, I kind of like this idea. Fast forward a few years, actually, the grades I got were more than fine, more than enough to get me into doing psychology. I did do that, but you know, it was fine.
And I think what you've got to remember is that you can turn any negative into a positive. So if you know, there's two ways, there's two reactions you can have to somebody's negative reaction to you. So one is you can sit and be very put off by it and feel very negative, or you can think, actually, you know what, that's just going to spin me into doing something about it, doing something positive. Your perception is that I can't do something. Well, actually, I know I can. I know I can. And it's like that. It's like that famous quote. The question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. And that's what you've got to remember. If you want to do something badly enough, you can do it. You'll find the time, you'll find the energy, you'll find the commitment, you'll find the you'll find what you need to find to do it. You'll weave your own path if you really want to do it.
And there is that thing, isn't there? It's like when they say necessity is the mother of invention. So if you really, really want to do it, you will find a way. And it's like, I have extracurricular hobbies, and I always say I haven't got time. Actually, I know if I really, really, really want to, then I will make that time, and I will find it from somewhere. It will require some kind of sacrifice, because nothing really happens without a bit of a sacrifice.
Absolutely.
But yes, I fully recognise the value of time, and then actually how much time we waste. You know, and when I say waste, when you're relaxing, it's easy to see relaxation as waste. It isn't, but there is still wastage. And
it's all about balance, isn't it? It's all about thinking, do I need to watch 15 box sets, you know, for example?
I wish.
It's just an example, you know. So like, you know, it's not that you don't have the time, it's just, it's how you use your time.
Absolutely. And it's incremental, isn't it? It's like, I think optimum thing is, if you want to be a writer, if you want to explore your creative side, 15-20 minutes a day is actually enough to get you going. So you don't need to try and write a book, do you? If you just want to share your feelings, put them on paper.
Absolutely. And writing is known to really, really help with all sorts of issues and all sorts of problems. You don't have to become a published writer to get the benefit of writing, because it can be such a great outlet. You know, sometimes you might not want to talk to somebody about a problem, but writing it down or maybe putting it into a poem or something can be very therapeutic. It can really help you to deal with issues in life, I think, as well.
Absolutely. I find I dabble. I'm a very amateur poet. And it's something I do because sometimes, you know, I feel like I really want to express something, and I share sometimes, and sometimes I don't, and I've done bits and bobs now. But sometimes it's just to help me process a feeling or an emotion, in the same way that you discovered all this stuff was going on and you didn't understand, you know, and you wanted to find a way to give that voice. And with me, sometimes it's just, I don't understand, and I'm so confused, and it helps me to pare it right down to the basics, and it helps me get to the absolute nub of what's bugging me sometimes about a situation.
And it's like a weight's been lifted. Once you get to that bottom of it all, through whether it's through writing or whatever you choose to whatever activity you choose, it is important to have that release and that outlet.
Absolutely. And viewers may know or may remember, but one of the last times I wrote until I started again 2 years ago was when my mother passed away. And a few months after her death, I wrote a poem that helped me get to and understand and process all of that. And I still remember I was leaning on my bed doing it and crying, and I closed the folder and I didn't write again for nearly 20 years. And sort of started again last year. And it was really powerful and cathartic. And now actually I write for fun, and I write because I enjoy it, and I see the sun and the moon, and something strikes me and I want to write, and it really helps. But those are the kind of topics I write about. I do write about sort of identity type issues as well. We're going to go for a short break in a few seconds, and when we come back, I'd really like us to start talking about the books that you have written, if that's okay. So viewers, inshallah, I'll see you on the other side of this.